Drinking beer and watching sports is pretty awesome, and one of the few things on par is drinking beer and playing video games. But dropping all that cash on games that end up collecting dust after you're done with them sucks. But there's no sense in trading in old games unless you really want 25 cents off your new one. There's a better way, GameFly.
GameFly has over 8,000 new releases and classics available to rent for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, PS Vita, Wii U, Wii, and 3DS, as well as older systems. As a GameFly member, you can rent as many console and handheld games as you want and get them delivered right to your mailbox for one low monthly fee.
And if you like a game so much that you don't want to send it back, you can keep it for a low use price. There are never any due dates or late fees, and GameFly also offers the ability to rent Blu-ray and DVD movies as part of the regular service at no extra charge.
And right now, GameFly is offering fans of Craft Brewed Sports a premium free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. To get that free trial started today, just go to gameflyoffer.com/craftbrewedsports. That's gameflyoffer.com/craftbrewedsports. Or just head on over to our website, craftbrewedsports.com, and click the GameFly link in the menu bar. We've all been there. You're standing in the beer aisle staring at the same selection that was there last week and just wishing you could try something different. That's where Tavour comes in. Tavour is the best and easiest way for you to get the beers that you can't find in your favorite bottle shop.
No need to hunt down people to trade with or worry about sending some sketchy guy a PayPal account hoping that he delivers on the bottle that you want. Tavour has your back. They only work with independent breweries, so there's no risk of getting suckered into buying an InBev beer pretending to be a craft brew.
And it's insanely easy. Just sign up for your free account, download the Tavour app for your Android or iPhone, and you'll get notifications when new beers are ready. Just go to the app and click Get It, and they'll put the quantity requested aside for you and ship it to your door. You can ship as many beers as you want for a flat fee, and you can schedule your delivery as soon as 1 week and as late as 5 after you select the beer you want to buy.
And now, fans of Craft Brewed Sports can get $10 in credit after you buy your first beer through Tavour.com. Just go to our website, craftbrewedsports.com, and click the Tavour link in the menu bar. Create your free account, and after your first beer is shipped out, you'll see a $10 credit hit your account. There's no commitment, no contract, no gimmicks, just great beer delivered directly to your door.
Swing and a miss, and Stanton down on strikes, and the Yankees lose the game. Incredibly, bases loaded, nobody out. Bottom of the 12th inning, Judge and Stanton do up, and John, they don't get it done, and this was an ugly series for the Yankees.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Craft Brewed Sports. I am Mike. With me as always is Scott. Sitting over here is Joe. This is Craft Brewed Sports. Scott, you ready to tap this keg of sports knowledge?
I certainly am, sir.
All right, good. Thank you for not...
You pump, I'll pour?
There you go, thank you.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool. That's what you're waiting on. I don't need to dance when you tell me to dance.
Dude, I didn't realize that was the strikeout that ended the game for Stanton's second...
Oh, you mean his second golden shower of the season?
Yes.
Yes.
I had no idea
In
that
the
was...
12th inning, another Yankees loss against the Orioles.
I knew that was like a...
And the crowd goes wild.
I knew he was... I knew he had got 5 strikeouts, but I didn't realize that ended the game. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Such a much better story than it just... Oh, he struck out 5 times again.
No, and that's why I wanted to use it as a draw.
I was wondering why you were pushing so hard for
that
it.
specific soundbite of
Oh, man,
how
that's
it went
so
down.
good. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We got an awesome show. We're going to be talking some Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. We're going to touch on the Masters. We all are owed a shot because none of us picked the correct winner. We're going to talk some NBA playoffs, maybe a little bit, even though we already know how that one's going to end.
Warriors in 6 over the Cavs. All right.
I love how
Basketball
mad
talk
Joe
time.
gets when you say it.
I
Every
know.
time you say it, he gets so mad. Before we get too far into the show, though, I need to pay up on a punishment. Tonight's punishment is brought to you by Yanni. Yanni finished ahead of me in the football pick'em. Should I read his email? Should we do
Yes,
that?
because he did such a good job at crafting it.
All right. Yanni sent this email. I got to find it now. It was, all right, here we go. He said, yo, first off, apologies for the delay. After a long hiatus, I have been binge listening to podcasts the last week and finally got through February and March and realized Mike thought my punishment could be better. Well, thanks. I tried throwing you a softball because of how shitty your picks were, but you want something more serious, so here it goes. I'm going to list my top 3 in order, and if you don't like number 1, go to number 2. If you don't like number 2, go to number 3. If you don't like number 3, go fuck yourself. Number 1, swim across the Ohio River. Number 2, talk the entire show in third person. Every time you say I or me, you take a shot of Joe's choosing. Number 3, do 2 Irish car bombs at the beginning of the show, same cup back to back, and then drink your beers from that same unwashed glass the rest of the show.
I really wanted you to do number 1.
Dude, I would have died.
It's a nice day out, though.
There's no way I would have made it.
A brisk swim?
I would have. Drew put it best. I would have ended up in Georgia because it would have just the river would have just washed me downstream. But yeah, so we compromised because we do the show on Thursday nights now. So Yanni was gracious enough to let me only do 1 car bomb and then drink the show beers from that same disgusting car bomb glass. So I will be starting off the show here with car bomb.
All right, while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and give the Motherfucker of the Week nominations. This week we've got Tristan Thompson, who was fucking dirty this week when he got busted cheating on his soon-to-be baby mama, who actually ended up giving birth today. How was that, Mike? Was that good?
I mean, car bombs are great.
Yeah.
I'm cool with those.
You just ready for the curdled glass?
Nope, not looking forward to that
All
part.
right.
There's the real punishment there. Is now I have to drink good beer out of that.
Curdled.
Ugh, that's hurt
Anyway.
my stomach thinking about it.
So choice number 1 is Tristan Thompson for cheating on Chloe, who just gave birth to their child today and got caught on camera banging a bunch of chicks and just
He was
being
getting
a
his dick
complete-
rubbed in the club.
Yeah, complete dirtball. And then your other nominee is now former center, because I believe he declared for the NBA from Purdue. What is
Isaac
it?
Haas.
Isaac Haas. This dude apparently, allegedly, according to a Purdue
lawsuit.
student, yeah, there's a lawsuit out there that this dude had chlamydia and herpes knowingly, did not tell her and infected her, and so now she's suing.
And here's where that case gets really weird. Apparently, the Purdue, the medical office at Purdue, the doctor's office at Purdue, keeps all that shit off the records. Like, not that, oh yeah, we treated him for it. They don't even put down what they treated the athletes for. They just give them the medicine and go. So if you have the symptoms for it, they give you the medicine and send you on your way. So there's not an actual diagnosis where then he could say, I don't know. I've never been
had it
tested.
confirmed.
I don't know. How would I know? And the reason why this story gets even weirder, his ex-girlfriend sent a message to the girl that's suing him and said, yeah, he's done this before. He knows that he's got it. And he's lied to people before about this. And then
There's more.
the girl texts back to she files this lawsuit, and the ex-girlfriend says, I didn't want my name in this lawsuit. I was fucking around anyways. I was just messing with you. I have no idea.
Good God.
So now they think that there's this whole cover-up where the athletic department got to this ex-girlfriend and told her to recant,
Jesus,
and it is a fucked up story.
All right, so there you have it. Your nominees for Motherfucker of the Week. Tristan Thompson for fucking dirty, well, no, he's dirty fucking.
Yeah, he is.
And
No, he's fucking dirty.
yeah, he's fucking dirty.
Wait, what's the best way to put this? We put this on I don't know how we put it on the poll, but
I can't remember. I had it all in my head straight, and now I'm confusing myself.
I'm too white for this.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no. Tristan Thompson is dirty fucking, and Haas is fucking dirty. So
All right,
yeah.
there's your choices. Get your votes in. We'll reveal the winner. Oh God, dude! I just looked at this beer and it is gross.
Ooh, it's got that head on it already.
It
That's
looks
not
like
head from the beer.
It
that's
looks
head
like
from
there's
curds.
drywall shavings in there.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I made the ridiculous decision a couple weeks back. We got this when we were in Mexico for the honeymoon. We got this cafe, really good vodka, and it basically just tastes like, or not vodka rather. It's tequila.
Oh, yeah.
And it tastes nothing like tequila. It's just this cafe thing. And I thought it would be a good idea to pour some into my coffee beer. I'm like, oh, it'll be like having cream in beer. And then forgot, oh, wait, that's right. It's got the cream in it. It's going to curdle. I sat there and drank those chunks because I didn't want to waste the beer or the shot. It was like I was chewing. It was
Well, that's what
gross.
I just got my first bite of this beer. Let's talk about the beer that we got going on tonight. Tonight, another beer from Tavor. This one is from Straight to Ale, which is a brewery out of Huntsville, Alabama. This one is called Stout at the Devil. It's a 7.25% ABV. They pitched this one to us basically as being like a super caramel frappuccino. I tried to say it the right way. I couldn't. Caramel.
Yeah.
I can't say it. I can't say that word.
Super caramel.
Caramel. So they say it's a lot of caramel flavors, a lot of coffee flavors in this.
The fact that you have to stop and think about it means you're
no,
wrong.
it's because it's in my head now.
No,
because it's
you're wrong if you have to stop and think about it. I naturally just say caramel because that's how you say the word. But go ahead. Continue.
no, it's in my head. You're all in my head
sure.
now. Anyway, so they basically pitch this to you as a frappuccino that you can get from Starbucks, but it gets you drunk. The ratings on it are fantastic. It's got a 4 cap rating on Untapped, 90 rating on Rate Beer. So just a really solid rated beer. First taste, minus the floating Baileys in there, it's really good. Like, it's a strong coffee flavor to that.
Strong coffee, and I can taste the hints of caramel that aren't overpowering either. It damn good. We've had some really good coffee stouts on this show. We're no stranger to coffee flavored beer, but as long as this one doesn't get old, this is damn good.
I'm really disappointed that I'm not going to have a chance to really get a true tasting on this one, just because of the disgusting leftover. I should have picked a shittier beer for tonight.
I thought that was the plan.
Oh, okay. So
I also got to be
honest,
working like 4 hours.
looking
so
at
there's
this
that.
beer, looking at the can on this beer, I judged it. And on top of that, Huntsville, Alabama doesn't really scream craft beer scene.
Well, what's
when I
funny
think
is-
craft beer, I don't think SEC country.
No. Well, what's also funny is when you went upstairs for a minute before the show started, Joe and I were sitting and talking about it, and I remember the can, but I was like, why did we buy this beer? It just says it's an oatmeal coffee stout, or an oatmeal stout with coffee. It doesn't sound like anything we would just buy. And he's like, oh, no, it's salted caramel frappuccino coffee beer. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what got us. That's exactly what got us the description. Because it ain't on the can anywhere. So if you just saw this can sitting there, you're just like, oh, it's just an oatmeal stout, coffee flavor,
It doesn't even like call out oatmeal stout anyway.
No.
I mean, it's low, it's small in the print, but like looking at it, I'd be like, oh, this is a stout.
Yeah,
Meh.
there's nothing. Yeah, there's
Meh.
nothing distinguishing this away from any other beer. Just it's got a devil on it and it's a stout. Okay,
Cool, man.
I would move right past this at the store. With
Well
no description.
done, Alabama. That's they need to. But if you look at some of the beers that they produce, a lot of their cans do look the same way. Sorry, that was a little bit of a car bomb coming back up there. A lot of the cans do kind of fall in the same, like their artistry is all the same, which I do like. I like when breweries have like a consistency in their marketing and their packaging. But it just, I wouldn't. You're 100% right. If you see this on the shelf, I'd be like, meh. I'll find something
You
else.
either need to have a really descriptive name that gives away what it is, or you need to have one of those descriptions somewhere on your can or bottle or whatever, just so you know. I mean, because it's got to sell itself, and if you're just looking at it, it's like, all right. I mean, there's nothing really selling this beer.
The taste is selling it though right now, so we'll
For
see
sure.
if
We're
see if
selling
it
the
stays
shit
that
out of it.
We'll see if it stays that way. Make sure you guys share the show, by the way, as we get into Upper Deck here. Share the show. If we hit 20 shares tonight, we'll go ahead and do a shot of Bailey's and get that Bailey's dick going. And let's face it, if I've already done a car bomb and I have to drink the show beers, get me super drunk. Like, make it to where I have to call off work tomorrow. Let's share the show and get me wasted. Let's get into Upper Deck, Scott.
Alrighty, Craft Brewed Sports and Upper Deck is brought to you by Minuteman Tickets, locally owned in Columbus, Ohio by Scott and Matt, a couple of guys who are sports fans just like you and me.
Minuteman does things the right way. No trying to order tickets from a robot or paying ridiculously high fees. If you call them up, you're going to talk to a real person and avoid all of those fees that the other guys charge. And Minuteman will even sell your tickets for you.
So check them out at MinutemanTickets.com or give them a call at 614-943-3000. That's 614-943-3000 for all of your sports, concert, or theater needs. So Joe and Mike,
Yes, sir.
I had no idea this week that Qatar, the country,
Yeah.
and the
Not the emo kid.
yeah, wow, too soon. And the Big Three league were beefing.
I had no idea. Either.
Like specifically,
That's
Ice
so
Cube
weird.
and the Qatar royal family were beefing. They are. So much so, in fact, because I mean,
Sounds normal.
Why not? Why wouldn't you a random league that just formed a year ago be beefing with an entire country?
Yeah,
and their
I
royal
mean,
family?
it sounds legit.
Yeah, makes total sense. But anyway, Ice Cube this week took out a full-page ad in the New York Times saying, quote, "Hey, President Trump, when you meet today with Putin's new friend, the Emir of Qatar, please tell him that not to threaten any Big Three and American athletes," end quote. Now, apparently, this all stems from the fact that Ice Cube says he and his partner, Jeff something or another, some Jewish last name, remember, it's got a Z at the end of it, received death threats after they screwed the league out of millions and made threats to the league. The league even has a $1.2 billion lawsuit filed against Qatar. With investors pending, but they're not sure how this one's going to shake out. Because, I mean, usually when you take out a full-page ad and threaten somebody, you mean business. But, yeah, there you guys go. I don't know if I would do that against a country that might blow you up.
Dude, that's such
And
a
if they
weird
are
story.
legit making threats, as Ice Cube claims, would you, rush to provoke them?
What are the threats that are being made?
Ice Cube just said that they basically, after they pulled out their money and the Big Three was kind of pissy with them, they were basically just like, hey, watch your backs and your players' backs.
Jesus,
Yeah.
man.
So because of this is why they had to fire their GM, and Clyde came in as the GM because Ice Cube obviously fired this guy for embezzling and doing stuff with Qatar. And then that is now why Clyde isn't the new GM.
What was
He's
that country name, Joe? Was that?
Qatar. To Joe's credit, I said I called it Qatar, and I called it right, and then I messed it up in the read and called it Qatar because that's American. America.
I just like how Joe didn't even come back to the mic. He was like, "Yeah, fuck you."
Well, and you said Clyde's the GM, but isn't he now the league commissioner? That's the role that he took up with the league, was commissioner, right? Okay, I just want to make sure I had that right. It was like he moved from
Right.
being a head coach to the commissioner chair, and so now he signed off on this too. Like, he's fully on board with the fact that and I think his name was on part of the ad or whatever with Ice Cube. So he's like, commissioner seal of approval on this full-page ad saying,
So weird, man.
"Go fuck yourself, Gutter."
So weird.
Really weird. I'll be interested to see how this goes. I mean, if they respond or if they just kind of leave it, or maybe they go through back channels and tell him to watch his back again. I don't know.
They're gonna take out a full page ad in the New York Times. Watch your back. That's gonna be it. And then everybody in New York is gonna be like, "What the fuck is this about?" It's not
Who
gonna
is
be
this
addressed.
to?
It's not gonna be addressed to anybody. It's not gonna be signs. Just gonna say, "Watch your back."
Whole city on alert.
All right, moving on. We all know that Conor McGregor wants to tear Khabib's head off, or at the very least, smash him with a dolly. And while McGregor may end up getting his chance at Khabib inside the octagon, rapper Action Bronson wants them to have. He doesn't want him to wait that long. That's what the story is supposed to say that I didn't type up correctly. So this week, Action Bronson told TMZ that he wanted to facilitate the fight between McGregor and Khabib, and he wanted to do it as a block party in his neighborhood.
Because why not?
Yeah, well, he told TMZ, quote, "Tell him to meet on Jamaica Avenue, 165th, on Coliseum Block. I'll be right there waiting. I'm going to get fucking Jamaican patties ready for everyone."
All right.
What?
Thanks, Action Bronson.
What is... First of all, and maybe this is just my whiteness showing, what's a Jamaican patty?
I don't know.
Okay, all
you
right.
said that, and I'm like, what the hell is a Jamaican?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Apparently, Action
it weed?
Bronson... Apparently, Action Bronson is like a big, like, he likes to cook. He's a foodie.
Oh, I thought you meant cook. I thought it was like Beth.
Well, probably. I mean, have you seen the dude?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, Beth?
Didn't Action Bronson once rap from a porta potty?
Sure.
I think he took a microphone off stage and rapped from a porta potty.
So Jamaican patty is basically a empanada, a meat pocket.
Oh. Well, why doesn't he say that? Why doesn't he say empanada instead of saying Jamaican patty?
Or he should have went, hot pocket. I'd understood that. What? No? Okay, cool.
But let's take a step back. What if this actually happened? Because McGregor seems crazy enough that he'd be like, all right, fine, let's do
I'd
it.
be totally down
And
for
Khabib,
it.
after the whole thing, when Dana White tweeted out the footage of the incident, Khabib had said in that interview, he's like, why does he come like this? Like, just name a time and place. Doesn't even have to be the octagon. Just name a time and place. So wouldn't that be amazing if that's really how they
just
settled
showed
this?
up.
Just they called Action Bronson. They're like, hey, man, get them Jamaican patties ready.
We coming.
We're coming to 165th, the Coliseum block.
Weird. In a week of weirdness for UFC, this just added another
Super
layer to
weird.
it for no real good reason. Action Bronson's like, I need to get in this. I gotta get
Action
my
Bronson's
name in
like,
this.
yeah, people need to know who I am. I'm gonna,
They'll talk about me on some fucking seldom listened to podcast.
I tried to do it. I hashtagged Conor McGregor when we posted the show. So I tried to get us. Like, I wanted people to be like, I'm just going to search Conor McGregor.
Speaking of
Hey,
which, you
who's
know
this?
what we've been slacking on? Tweeting at Adams. We have not. Steven Adams has missed
been
all of our
yeah.
shows, and we have no idea. He might come on the show.
Well,
We won't find out for 2 years, but we've
Yeah.
been slipping.
yeah, it was 3 years.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
3 years.
Well, cool. Got my facts straight. Cool. Anybody seen Meet the Parents? Anybody? You?
Yeah,
Focker?
yeah, everybody.
Yeah, everybody, most people. Well, it's clear that Green Bay Packers wide receiver Trevor Davis hasn't. On Sunday, Davis decided to go full Greg Focker. Made light of the fact that he had explosive materials in an airport. Before checking in for his flight at LAX, Davis was asked the usual about if he was carrying anything prohibited on flights, and without saying the usual no, like most intelligent people, Davis thought it would be funny to turn to his girlfriend and jokingly ask, quote, "Did you remember to pack the explosives?" For his troubles, Davis was promptly arrested for making criminal threats.
Wow. That's some dumb shit, man.
Not only did it happen to Greg Focker, it happened to Alden Smith a few years ago, where he got arrested for the bomb threats, where he made the joke about having a bomb. So missed that one. Missed Meet the Parent. Don't go to the airport and make jokes about having bombs. I know it seems funny. Get them all out before you get up to the counter and they ask you, "Hey, are you carrying any explosives or any other illegal things that we don't allow on planes?" That is not the time to joke. What a fucking idiot.
It's super dumb. Super dumb to do that. I mean, there's just no defense. Like, it can't even be like, even saying I was just kidding. Like, at this point, you can't even make,
that's what I'm saying.
you can't even.
We're all about the
go to
jokes. Like, it's funny, ha ha ha.
It's not even funny.
No. I mean,
it's a shitty joke.
It is, but I'm saying it's funny, like, on the way to the airport or whatever, just amongst you, and I'd turn to shit and be like, oh, man, I forgot to turn the bombs in before, like, but once you get up there and the officials are asking you the question, no, not the time. Don't joke.
No way.
What are you two
Are
miming?
you serious?
Yes, we are now at the 24 share mark.
Are you serious?
This is bullshit.
How many shares
Are
do
you
we need
serious?
to get a shot? 25?
You said 20
I said
at the
20
beginning?
at the beginning.
Oh, you stupid mother.
I
Oh,
didn't think
okay. I guess we're
going to
take a shot in the middle of Upper Deck.
Who shared 20 times? Because I don't think, I mean, it's clearly
Hey, we're not complaining.
it's
We love you.
clearly not
Thanks.
working.
Woo!
Tyson, did you share this show 20 times? That had to be what happened. All right. Pour me a shot while I read this next story. How about that?
Yeah.
So nobody in the U.S. really cares about the World Cup this year since the U.S. Completely shit the bed, didn't even qualify. But that doesn't mean it isn't serious business in other places. In particular,
The rest of the world?
yeah, well, and in particular, host country Russia is super pumped about the World Cup. I got you, Joe. I saw you.
Oh,
looking.
my bad. And Mother Russia, we know get expelled from World Cup like Olympics.
Yeah, so they're super jacked, and apparently they're ready to make their presence felt. So there was a documentary that came out this week that follows the Oral Butchers, which is a group of Russian.
Oral. Go ahead.
Is a group of Russian hooligans that follows some third-rate team in Russia. But these guys are getting fucking jacked up for the World Cup. They are pumped. The Butchers mentioned that they are dead set on starting a war with English fans, saying, quote, If you're there, you should calculate getting your ass kicked. End
You
quote.
should calculate it?
Yeah, I feel like there's some type of lost in translation thing
That
there.
seems like a weird thing to say. I calculate that you're going down tonight.
I mean, it's Russian soccer hooligans, so yeah, that's probably about right. So the Hooligans have been they've been recruiting new members. They've been going out into the woods for fight clubs. Like, these dudes are ready to go.
Oral.
So let me ask you, if you're a fan of England's soccer team, how afraid are you to go to Russia now? Because it's already
Not very, because those English soccer hooligans are psychotic too.
Yeah,
so
right.
you know they're always ready to throw
that-
down anyway.
If you're an English soccer hooligan, you're probably not afraid. But if you're just a normal fan,
Oh, just
like-
a normal English fan. Like,
like,
hey,
hey,
I'm just here to see my first World Cup.
right, me and my wife are gonna take a holiday to Russia and see the World Cup, and hopefully not run into those oral guys or whatever.
Yeah. Imagine just walking around, just wearing some type of something that
I've been
shows
wearing
you
all black.
support
All black. I'm not wearing
England's
shit.
soccer team, and you just get jacked from behind.
Somebody's like, "You want this scarf?" Nope, I ain't touching your fucking scarf, man. I'm not. At the game, I'm gonna sit there, and when England scores a goal, I'm gonna look around and see if anybody else around me is wearing a mask or fucking they've got brass knuckles or something, and then I may politely
Golf clap.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm just gonna sit there and just take in the sights. The oral butchers. Cheers to those bastards. Oh, you already did it. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, things are happening.
Thank you guys for the shares.
I had a little bit left in the bottom of the glass. All right,
That's fair.
So there's all sorts of ways to eat ice cream. You know, you can do it on a cone, from a bowl, with a spoon, out of a novelty helmet at the ballpark.
That's the best way.
Right.
Ice cream tastes best.
Tastes completely different, right? But nope. Philly's new general manager, former player Gabe Kapler, he's a weird fuck. He chooses none of those routes. In a profile done by Tom Verducci on Sports Illustrated, Verducci brings up a story from a former player from Kapler, saying that Kapler is addicted to ice cream, but also to staying in shape, and that he once witnessed Kapler eating ice cream by licking it off the cone, but spitting it into a cup. The player told him, quote,
What?
"Dude, that's like Unabomber type stuff."
That's so
And
messed up.
And
So
what's funny is,
messed up.
before I read this story, I knew about Gabe Kapler having this extreme workout regimen. A few years ago, I read something. I think it was in like Men's Fitness or something. He was just talking about like his workout, and it's like super strict, super crazy, or whatever. But it didn't mention anything like this. Okay, whatever. And then you find this out, and I'm like, wait a minute, dude that works out that even like bothers with ice cream. And if you're gonna go that route, why? But it gets weirder because Kapler says that it never actually happened in the locker room. That guy never actually witnessed it. He said, but the way that he eats ice cream is true. In fact, not only is it
That's so
true,
weird.
but much worse of a story. Kapler says, quote, "It happened with my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, who's now my ex-wife. We were walking together, and I was on a very strict chicken breast and beans diet, and she was eating an ice cream cone. And I was like, that looks amazing. I took a bite of it and spit it out because I wanted the flavor, but didn't want to go off track. And that story got told to somebody else, and it became their story, and they say that they saw it happen." End quote. So
Dude.
which is worse? The version of seeing your coach in the locker room doing something weird like that, or Kapler admitting that, hey, you know, my ex-wife now, probably because I have weird fucking habits like this, you know, once witnessed me do this, and in fact, yeah, it was her ice cream cone. But would you marry somebody after they did that? Like, hey,
No.
I mean,
No, we would have issues. Like,
that'd be
there's-
that ended. No, that's a
Yeah.
deal breaker. At the end of the night, I've been like deleting the contact. She just licked my ice cream cone and then spat it out because she really wants to stay in shape.
What you really, I mean, at that point, yeah, you definitely never talk to her again because
Right.
she's spitting and not swallowing. Absolutely.
Moving on.
Yanni's in the show. Yanni chimed in the Facebook chat, said, you doing Yanni's punishment tonight? Sure am, man. You missed the car bomb to start the show, but I am drinking the show beer out of this disgusting glass with just chunks of curdled Baileys floating in it. So thank you, Yanni, for that, man. Appreciate it. Let's get into this last story from Upper Deck. Bruce Irvin plays for the Raiders. He is apparently dead set on murdering now Broncos punter, former Raiders punter, Marquette King. So the story goes back to the Pro Bowl. Apparently at the Pro Bowl, Marquette King posed for a picture that went on Instagram where his press credentials were around his neck, and Talib Kweli was pulling on the...
who used to play for the Broncos, but who now plays for the Rams.
Right, yeah. He was pulling on the press credentials a la snatching the chain from Michael Crabtree.
Right.
So it was, like a fun, playful, haha, this is a thing that happened. Apparently the Raiders did not take too kindly to this post, Bruce Irvin in particular. So Irvin this week asked coaches if he could go on the punt return team.
Wants to be a gunner.
He's never been on the punt return team. He wants to go and play special teams just when they play Denver. And the whole reason is he wants to destroy Marquette King. And his tweet said, got permission to play on the punt return team, and I got fine money. Which clearly shows
Open
intent
threats.
that he is just openly just going to run at Marquette King and destroy him. I don't think it ever happens. I don't think he's going to do anything.
I don't think they're actually going to let him on the gun team. I think he's just BSing.
But now I really want to watch the Raiders-Broncos, at least until the Broncos punt the first time.
Yeah.
After the first Broncos punt, if nothing happens, I'm going to be like, okay, this is stupid. I'll never watch this again. But
I feel like that should be one of the red zone things. Very first. All right, we're cutting to the Raiders-Broncos game where they're punting. But hold on. Let us give you the backstory real quick. We otherwise would only be showing a team if they were in the red zone, but we've got a developing situation here. That would be worthwhile. Like, that would be the only way I'd probably actively tune in, as if I was watching the red zone. I'd be like, oh, shit. All right, this is about to happen. Let's see how this goes down. Otherwise, no, I don't care. I would see highlights after if he gets jacked.
I would love to see it, though, if Irvin does, if he does come through with it and then just destroys King for it. First of all, I like King. I think it's kind of funny
King
to
is
see.
Awesome.
Like,
he's got a really funny personality.
He reminds me of Pat McAfee, of like a punter who doesn't take shit seriously. Like, he realizes he's a punter. He realizes he's got the cushiest job in the NFL.
Well, and
so
basically the reason that he got cut from the Raiders, they'll tell you there was financial reasons, but more or less Gruden just coming in was like, I don't like this dude. He's got too much of a personality. Get him out of here. And that was that. Like, I mean, they saved a little bit of money or whatever, and they'll argue all day that was the reasoning, but he's one of the best punters in the NFL, and they could have afforded to keep him easily.
Right.
But,
Well, there you go.
No fun league. You got a personality. Get the fuck out.
Watch out for that game. Broncos, Raiders, whenever that happens. Maybe Irvin will kill King.
Only
Maybe
for
not.
the punting,
though.
Who
We'll
cares
see.
about the rest of
right.
the game?
This has been Upper Deck, brought to you, as always, by Minuteman Tickets. Make sure you guys check them out. I guess we should do another set of shares if you guys share the show.
50.
50? We're going to go 50? I was going to go 40, but okay,
we'll go
50.
50.
If we get 50, we'll do another shot.
We got to 20 so easily.
We'll do another
I
shot
want to
of
see him
Bailey's.
get to 50.
All right, well, if we get to 50 shares, we'll do another shot of Bailey's.
Yanni also says if he didn't see it, you didn't do it. So there's that.
The evidence is in the cup.
This is true. I didn't see him do it either. I don't know. Maybe he didn't.
Check the fucking tape, man. It's
shit.
on tape.
Damn it, there's tape. Yeah, well, we can't rewind.
Well, you know what? Let's just let's all get ready to do a shot anyways, because the Masters ended on Sunday,
right. We gotta do a
and none of us picked the winner right. Joe was
Because some
forced.
random fucking guy showed up. And
Joe was
won.
forced into picking Tiger Woods because he was all about Tiger Woods, and then
Yeah, we held him against
since
his
the
hostage.
first since the first round was done, he tried to back out of it when he realized Tiger was hot garbage. Like we tried to tell him for a long time, and he didn't listen. So he lost. I went with Rory McIlroy.
Who did I have? Spieth? don't even
You
remember.
picked
You were Dustin Johnson.
Dustin Johnson. That's right. And Dustin Johnson, he made a run for a little bit there. Like at first, so he was out of it after the first day. I was like,
Yeah, no, I never thought. I saw the first day and thought, all right, well, screw it. I'm losing that bet. Whatever.
But he made a run, and I thought Johnson had a chance to come back and get in contention, and then he just fell off.
Yeah.
But as Rory McIlroy was in the final pairing on Sunday, I was like, I can't wait to fucking rub it in their faces.
But then you remembered who you are and your curse, and
Then he went full Rory.
Nothing you ever pick wins.
And Rory McIlroy on Sundays at the Masters is never a good bet.
You
and
are the kiss of death.
I really am. I'm a jinx and a half. So sorry, Tampa Bay Lightning, because you're out too in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But this is, since we all lost, cheers, fellas. Here's to sucking.
The Lightning. I thought, was that Angel?
Yeah, I took Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah, they're fucked.
All right. Did you watch any of the Masters?
Nope.
It was
I followed the first day on Twitter.
It was a good Sunday. Jordan Spieth was unreal on Sunday. I thought that dude was going to win it, and it was going to be the best round in Masters history, but then he didn't, and it was like, oh, okay.
Tiger finished 69.
No, he finished.
He shot at 69. Yeah. He finished 40th, but whatever. Same difference.
Here's a stat for you.
69.
No player has ever scored in the 60s 4 days in a row at the Masters. That's a crazy stat.
Really?
Yeah. Nobody has ever, and they say it's, number one, either you choke the lead on Sunday or you're playing too conservative to keep your lead and you're just trying to shoot even par. So nobody has scored in the 60s 4 days in a row. So if you ever want to place a bet in Vegas, that's the one that you want to bet on. Nobody scoring 60 4 days in a row.
Do you think they even have that bet?
I'm sure they do. It's Vegas.
I know. It's pretty specific, though. No one will shoot 60 4 days in a row. I mean, I know they get specific with their bets, but that seems like a weird prop to just throw out there.
But Patrick Reed did end up winning. Patrick Reed, also known as Captain America, he is well known from the Ryder Cup team. He's also well known as a complete douchebag and asshole on the course.
And he's one of my new favorite golfers.
Makes me like him a lot. He has been accused of cheating when he was at Georgia, which who among us has not kicked a ball out from the rough and just been like, nope, that's where it was?
I haven't because I've never played golf, but I would if I did.
All right.
So there's... I'm confirming that I would indeed cheat, but, I just haven't.
So Reed is your winner. Great.
Cool. All right, golf. So wait, real quick question for Joe. So is Tiger still back, or are we backpedaling off of him being back?
No, he's still back.
Oh, okay.
He's back, really? What makes you think the Tiger's back after that showing at the Masters?
Because he actually played a full tournament there. He didn't
He
bitch
didn't miss
out.
the cut?
He didn't miss the cut. He made the cut. He didn't bitch out saying that he was hurt and he was sore and tired. He actually played the whole course.
Tied for 40th, right? Is that his final standings? Okay, yeah.
He's back.
He's not back.
Oh,
he's not
really?
back.
That's not what that means?
I do like that Lou the dog was also very
totally
pissed
backed off.
about... Yeah,
he backed off of his
We've
being
got
back.
two different definitions of back.
Webster's dictionary defines back as the part of your body that's behind the front. That's what I meant.
And Tiger had a fusion on his back,
Yes.
so he is back.
Tiger has a back. And it is in one piece. Therefore, he is back.
Speaking of that, the drunk line's open, 440-37-DRUNK. I'm sure Lou the dog, if he's listening, will call in now that we're talking smack about him. But yeah, there you go. Masters was a fun watch.
It was a thing that happened.
I really enjoyed it. It was a good tournament. And here's the other thing. I will say this in defense of those that are saying Tiger is back.
You're dumb.
The ratings were unreal. And the reason why the ratings were unreal is all because of Tiger. Because Tiger played 4 rounds, and they showed more shots of Tiger on Sunday than they showed of almost everybody else that was ahead of him.
Well, of course.
The only person that had more shots shown than Tiger was Patrick Reed.
He's the only one that people come to watch.
But I feel like there's this thing where people watch Tiger because they hate him. Like, it's not all just people go to watch him. I think people
are rooting for him.
He does have a weird thing.
It's come full circle. There was a time when people were rooting against him, but now, they started out rooting for him, and then, you become the villain after things, and, after all the stuff happened with his wife and stuff, he became the villain for a little bit, and then once he had that fall from grace and things really got shitty, I think now it's coming back the opposite way, and now people are really rooting for him, and that's why they're watching.
See, I don't think that's the case. I feel like there were a lot of people that hated him from the start. The old white guys did not like seeing this young black dude taking over golf. So they cheered.
Racist going racist. I mean, I'm not counting them. I'm talking your average.
Oh, you're
golf
talking
fan.
about the guy who just was like, oh, I can watch golf? That's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, who's this guy?
Yeah.
He fist bumps. That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're racist? No, they've always rooted
But I
against
feel
Tiger.
like golf
they don't
fans,
care what he does.
I feel like golf fans, it was split. There was some people who there was no middle ground with Tiger. There was no like, he's Tiger. It was either they loved him or they hated him. There was nobody in between.
My wife says she loves Tiger.
I mean, a lot of people do.
I do. I love Tiger.
I'm ambivalent. I'm like, whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I just
love
don't.
Tiger. I really want him
I'm
to
jaded,
be
though.
back.
I'm jaded. And here's why. When I was 10 years old, we went to the Firestone. We went to the WGC Open in Akron. And all I wanted was a Tiger autograph. He didn't give me one. So I said, screw him. I don't like this guy. You know who did give me an autograph? Fred Couples. Boom, boom, baby. My favorite golfer.
All right. Well, that was a good story.
Moving on.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank you. That was an interesting story.
Let's see. Scott says, I was getting annoyed during the early rounds when they weren't showing guys in the top 5, but were showing Tiger and Phil who weren't close. I feel like that's why a lot of people didn't like Tiger on his way up, because he did get all of the attention. Tiger got
on his
all
way
of the...
on his way up, he deserved it. I understand people being
He
mad
did.
now,
You're right.
but I mean, again, CBS.
But it
is
was
just,
every week. Even when
they're just hoping to God.
Even when Tiger was at his peak, there were still tournaments where he wasn't in contention. And they still showed him every shot. Like, if you watched golf when Tiger was coming up, you saw Tiger's entire round. They showed every shot. And now, like, they're trying to split it a little bit better. They're trying to hide.
Yeah, because they know that he's not back. So
Right.
they're like, well, we'll show most of it, and then I guess we got to show the other guys who are actually winning the tournament. But then they're like, hey, Phil, too. Don't forget about Phil. Even though he also isn't winning shit.
We're talking way too much about golf. This is...
Just one more.
Okay.
Mainly
Okay,
because of why Tiger was shown is because the Masters rules. You're not allowed to simulcast anything from the Masters on anything.
Right.
So a lot of the time, since he was so far back, he was playing in the morning, and he was really the only notable pairing person playing in the morning. So that's why they showed him. And then once you can get the full coverage, then they picked him up at the end.
No, but that's not the case on Sunday. On Sunday, I mean, Tiger teed off first thing in the morning, and coverage didn't start until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And they still showed every single... Tiger was done, and they were like, here's what Tiger did on 16. People are like, he's done. I already know what he did on 16. I saw this already. Anyways, so this happened this week. Eric Reid interviewed with the Bengals, and Mike Brown asked him if he was going to stop kneeling.
Which threw that story out there, no context.
No context, just throwing that out there. I'm just moving right into it.
Former 49ers safety Eric Reid, current free agent.
I feel like everybody knows who Eric Reid is at this point.
Really?
Yes, because he's gotten all of this publicity because of the kneeling controversy.
I still feel like, even as a fan of the 49ers, and having watched Eric Reid's whole NFL career, I still don't
you
feel
don't
like
think
most
so?
people
I feel
know
like
who he is.
everybody
maybe within the last
understands.
couple days, but I'm saying prior to that, I don't really think.
No, because he came out. Eric Reid had to come out and
I
say,
know that.
listen, I'm not going to do it this year. Please sign me.
Right, no, but I still just don't feel like the average NFL fan would be
You
like,
don't
wait,
think
who?
so?
No.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys chime in on that one and let us know whether or not you know who Eric Reid is.
Especially the way Mike introduced him. Just, hey, Eric Reid did this thing. What? Who? Yeah.
Fine,
Okay.
you do the story then, man. You do it.
Oh, well, I came to Cincinnati, and Mike Brown basically asked him, hey, you going to kneel? And he didn't really give an answer. And
He said he was taken aback by the question.
which is kind of weird because I
That's a
definitely
very strange.
would have expected the question.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have answered it in the way he did, I guess, or didn't answer it. I don't know.
Right.
But to be shocked by it, that's a little weird.
Yeah, to be confused that he would ask. Like, of course.
But
and
either
then
way, old stodgy Mike Brown basically didn't get the answer he was looking for and was like, all right, thanks, but no thanks.
And it's Mike Brown also said the other thing that kind of got buried in this story is the fact that Mike Brown told Eric Reid, like, we're going to put stuff in place where players aren't allowed to kneel. Like, it's going to be a Bengals rule that you're not allowed to kneel. And
We're gonna dive headfirst into this old racist white man thing. And are you cool with that?
and Eric Reid was like, I'm confused by this questioning.
Now if that was the way his question, then I totally get his confusion. Wait, is it 2018? Are we allowed to dive headfirst into old racist white shit? Well, actually, Eric Reid, why, yes, we are.
And then, ironically, this week, also happening, and this just broke today, the Seattle Seahawks were going to do a workout with Colin Kaepernick.
Cap.
And Kaepernick, he said that he was going to, if he got signed, he would continue to kneel for the national anthems.
Oh, I see. I thought he said that he didn't give an answer. He did the same thing Eric Reid did. He couldn't. He's basically, I don't know if I will or not. Like
the tweet that I saw said that he would continue to do it. So I don't know. Maybe you're right.
Yeah. No. I mean, I also heard that he had said he didn't commit one way or another.
Whatever
like,
the case is, however it was answered, the Seahawks canceled his workout.
Which is weird considering they worked him out last year and then passed on signing him because, he just wasn't a right fit or stuff and reasons. And this time they're like, hey, we'll do another workout, but are you going to kneel? I don't know. Okay, well, fuck you, never mind.
Right.
We'll just flat out we won't even pretend this time that it's about that. We'll just come out and say, fuck it. You don't know if you're going to kneel. We don't want to sign you. Cool. Jesus.
I think it's kind of crazy, man, that we're at a point where these guys have to, like, that's a question that comes up. It's like, hey, are you going to...
It's the world we live in, I guess. I don't know.
So we talked about it before, that dude that was asked, what would you do if I punch you in the face? It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't question. Because they can hold it against you. If you're like, no, I'm not going to kneel, they're going to be like, oh, so you don't stick to your convictions. Good to know. And then if you say, yeah, I'm going to kneel, they're like, we don't want the distraction.
Well, not only that, I mean, then... Even if, like, say Eric Reid was like, yeah, you know what, I've decided I'm not going to do it, I'm going to do this other thing, and then 5 minutes later they're like, we still just don't want to sign you, then you're kind of, like, assed out, right?
Yeah.
And then also, do they write that into the contract?
Well,
or could...
Yeah, that's true.
If he signs a contract, if Mike Brown was like, oh, okay, cool, you're not going to do it? All right, got your word? Cool. If it's not in there, and then, he does it, Mike Brown can do whatever he wants as far as punishing him from there, but, if Eric Reid comes out and is like, I'm going to do what I want.
Gotcha! Yeah. Gonna kneel!
Right. It's really weird all the way around. I don't know. I don't even know how I would proceed on any given situation. I guess... Probably, I would be a big old bitch like most of these NFL owners, and just not even have them in the situation. Be like, oh, we're just not interested in Eric Reid.
See, here's what's weird about this whole thing, though, and your buddy Mo Ager wrote an article for The Athletic about this, where he defended Mike Brown in Mike Brown asking this question, and he said Mike Brown has a right to ask that question. He has a right to know what Eric Reid wants, and I agree. Mike Brown does have that right to know, but at what point does this become you're trying to save face over you're trying to win football games? Because the Bengals have a need where they need a safety. Eric Reid isn't a shitty guy. Like, he's not a shitty player.
No, he's good enough to be a starter in this league on some team.
It's not like Eric Reid was riding the bench and then got cut and then is trying to get back in the league.
Right.
This is a dude who was a Pro Bowl safety. The Bengals could 100% benefit from having him on the roster, on the field, and instead they're like, I don't know. I don't want to deal with all this other shit, so I'll rather take some L's. That's essentially what this comes down to, and that's why I think people get so pissed about it, and that's why Mike Brown has taken the heat that he's taken over this, is because he is choosing winning a PR war over winning games on the field.
Well, and... I was listening to Mo driving.
Hot take.
I was listening to Mo driving home the other day. He also said on his radio show, I don't know if this was in the article, I didn't read it. He said, also there's the other side of it where everybody's saying, hey, these guys are doing a really good thing and they're willing to risk their careers to, do this thing. And we should admire them for that and we should hold them up for that. But then when it actually happens that then their career is taken away from them, people also can't claim foul and say, oh, well, what are you doing? You're taking this guy's career away. Well, if that was the risk he was willing to take and then it actually happens, you can't have it both ways, right? You can't say, well, you should honor this guy because he's doing this, but then when it actually happens, say, oh, no, but that's not fair. I totally agreed with Mo on that point. I don't know where I'm at with this whole thing. I don't know what... and I think if you're Eric Reid or any of these other guys that are in the situation, except for Kaep, because Kaep was like, you know what? F it. I'm just done. I'm willing to move on.
Yeah.
And he just straight up said, this is more... But, if you're kind of in between, like it seems like Eric Reid is, where he really wants to, stand on his convictions, but also play in the league, I don't know what you do, and I don't even know at this point if you can repair it. It kind of seems like people have made up their mind one way or another.
Yeah, there's no going back. Like you can't. And it
can't
shows in this
not kneel
in this
after
interview.
you've already kneeled.
Like he came out before he came to the Bengals and said, "I won't do it. Like just sign me. I won't do it." And nobody's signing him. So it's like, it's
and
over,
not,
man.
and it's clearly it's not based on skill. Like,
Right.
It's obvious.
Right.
If this dude never kneeled once, he would have had a job weeks ago. Right as soon as free agency started, he would have been signed by somebody.
Agreed.
It's a terrible situation. Like I said, I don't know how. I don't even know if anybody's at fault. It's just society. I blame society.
Fair enough. Okay.
Society, get your shit together.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little hockey because there was an article that got posted to the Craft Brewed blog earlier this week by a guest blogger. It was not JB, goddammit, that posted the article.
No,
this
was our guest blogger
on Twitter.
Yeah, I know. I totally thought it was him because he tweeted it, and I didn't read the actual tweet. But then I read But what's funny is then I read the article and also didn't look at who authored it. I just was like, oh, this is JB tweeted this out. It wasn't until later. That JB didn't actually write this. He was just
he was sharing the article
it from the guest,
and that makes me think that the guest blogger wants to remain anonymous. So we will just call him by how he penned the article. TTGD. He proposed something. So Stanley Cup playoffs are underway. The NHL players are agreeably seen as some of the best playoffs in all of sports.
No, there's no doubt. It's easily the best.
It
playoffs
is super entertaining.
All of professional.
There is it is. I mean, people who don't like hockey are watching the NHL playoffs. Like
this
is
fun. This is the time to tune in for hockey.
Yeah. And the playoffs just started last night. The Penguins won 7-0 over the Flyers. Yeah, your boys.
Three-peat, baby.
Vegas beat the Kings 1-0.
Showing up in the finals, baby.
And then who was it? Winnipeg was the third game last night. They won, I believe, as well.
They did.
Who I think is JB's pick. Our hockey expert picks Winnipeg to win it all.
Yeah, even though he's a Penguins fan.
Yeah, he understands.
His heart is with Pittsburgh, but his head is with Winnipeg.
He understands what's at stake for Pittsburgh. But anyways, the guest blogger posed an interesting question about how the Stanley Cup playoffs are amazing and they're so much fun, but they need to change. And it all comes down to the fact that the way the seeding works out and the way the NHL plays these playoffs, they take instead of taking a true 1-8 seed, 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, all that good stuff. They kind of put things in a division, but it's not really in a division, and you get 2 and 3. It's essentially the NHL manufacturing divisional rivalries, which is the reason why we have a Penguins-Blue Jackets rivalry right now. There wouldn't be a Penguins-Blue Jackets rivalry if it wasn't for this. And this is also a big gripe why Washington doesn't necessarily make it past the second round, because they end up playing Pittsburgh in the second round and they lose instead of them being one of the top seeds and not having to face Pittsburgh until the conference finals.
Well, and this is also something that they just started in 2014. Like, they used to just do playoffs like everybody else with the regular seeding and everything, and then they decided to switch it up to mix things up and kind of force these matchups, and it was like, why? And it's proven that you don't get the best matchups because now you potentially have a top seed who gets beaten by, somebody who has much less points or whatever, for whatever reason, because they're a better team than the team that they should have been playing by right of having finished so high.
Right, but if you think about it, and where I kind of disagree on this,
don't give Bettman any credit.
Where I disagree with this is, you have so many first round games in a normal playoff scenario that are just boring to watch because you have just it's outmatched, you're outclassed. Yeah, you get it's a reward for finishing second or finishing, third seed. You get a little bit of a reward, but it does kind of make it fun to have these more interesting matchups in the first round rather than a bunch of snoozer matchups and then it starts to get fun later on. Like, let's face it, you even said yourself, the NHL is the most exciting playoffs, right? It's the most watchable. It's the only one that does this.
Yeah, but it was exciting before that, and I still think the reason the NHL is exciting isn't because of this weird format that they decided they're going to go with. The reason is it's the only playoff setup amongst the big four. Let's just limit it to where it actually feels like an 8-1 can happen, like an 8-1 upset could actually happen, regardless of how they had it seeded. If they have it just based off the normal format of the one playing the best, that's why it's the best. It's the best because it's much more unpredictable than the other sports. So in the other sports, the best team almost always wins, especially in those first round matchups. It's almost a waste of time. But in hockey, it's because it feels like any of those teams can win. Like,
I would love to see the stats.
Rounds.
I would love to see the stats to see how many times an 8 has beaten a 1, or there was some major upset like that prior to the NHL going to this.
Well, I don't want to act
format.
like it was a ton of times, but I'm guaranteeing you it was more than the other leagues, and that's why I'm saying that's what makes it exciting. Is that there's more of a chance there that it could happen. It's much more likely that you're going to see an upset in hockey than you are in any other sport. In the other sports, it's pretty much chalk, like, because of the formatting. Like, it's rare that you have. I mean, in the NFL, you could say, well, there's upsets based on the fact that it's one game. But when you're talking about series, I guess if you're just looking at NBA is never going to happen. Like, the first 2 rounds of the NBA playoffs are a wash. And in baseball, I mean, things can happen.
You're saying NBA playoffs are a wash the first 2 rounds? Like, it's chalk the first 2 rounds?
Yeah.
Aren't the Cavs a 4 seed this year? Okay.
They'll still be in the finals. I mean, okay. That's fine. That's cool.
So you got the
there's
Cavs.
off years with,
You got the.
then there's rules where
You
it's
got
like
the Cavs
LeBron.
upsetting. You got the Cavs upsetting the 1 seed in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Chalk.
Yeah, it'll happen. No doubt. You know what I fucking mean.
No, I know what you mean.
If these teams were seeded based off the players on the team, we all know the Cavs would be 1 seed, and so the seeding means nothing right now. Anyway.
Shit. Oh, man. All right. Scott says that he thinks Edmonton had a run as an 8 1 year.
Yeah.
too.
No, I'm pretty sure they did.
Oh, there you go. Tyson said in 2012, the 8 seed Kings won the Stanley Cup.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Like, in the NHL, it can happen, and that's what makes their playoffs so much more exciting, is that you might as well ignore the seeding. And I know now you're going to say, well, if you should ignore the seeding, then why does it even matter here? Blah, blah, blah. But there should still be a reward for the teams that finish up, at the top, being able to play the teams that are considered the less seeds based off their ranking. I mean,
I missed this one too. Tyson said last year the 8 seed Predators swept the 1 seed Blackhawks in the first round. Didn't even realize the Preds were an 8 seed last year. Whoops.
Although that doesn't help though, because the seeding was based off this new format. So
that's a good point. Yeah, good point. Craft Root Sports, who's this?
The players are scoring. It's definitely not boring. I'm drinking a beer. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Craft Root Sports, who's this?
Hey guys, I didn't see you there. I was just, I must have butt dialed you while I was singing hockey carols.
Oh, God damn it, JP.
Craft Root Sports, we'll wait.
JB, how you doing, man?
What's up, man?
Oh, the playoffs.
Hey, so I need to ask you, we're talking about the guest bloggers article about the changing up the seedings and the format. Are you in agreement with the NHL switching things up?
For the time being, I am.
Yeah?
I mean, looking at, like, I kind of mentioned it in the comments of that story. I mean, just looking at, like, last season, a series like Columbus and Pittsburgh wouldn't have been all that interesting, but because they had to play each other a couple years in a row or 2 out of 3 years, now they really, really don't like each other, and it's developed into an actual rivalry, whereas if they were still using like the 1 to 8 seed, like the regular traditional seeding, that wasn't going to happen because Pittsburgh probably never would have run into Columbus because they probably wouldn't have made it there. So, and then even like this year, LA and Vegas is already turning into a rivalry because, I mean, just watching what happened last night, those 2 teams already hate each other.
It's because of that new NBC show. Or Fox, LA to Vegas. Dylan McDermott. Check that out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mike just got muted, and for good cause. Anyway, continue with what you were saying, JB.
Yeah, we should have just muted that. But anyway.
Tyson disagrees with you. He says Columbus, Pittsburgh would have developed anyway because of the geographical proximity of the two cities.
No, how often do they play during the year?
Well, they're in the same division, so probably between 4 and 6.
That's enough to develop a rivalry.
But you're never going to meet in the playoffs? Nah. 4 and 6 meaningless games during the year. Not a real rivalry.
I mean, also you got to realize that in order to create a rivalry, the other team has to win sometimes too.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. That's a good point. That's a good point, JB. All right, man. Hey, question for you before we let you go. Do you have any MMA or hockey game for us? MMA fighter or hockey player?
I didn't have anything ready, but
son of a bitch, JB. Hey, seriously though, good work on the blog this week.
You killed it, man.
JB put out his why teams will not win the Stanley Cup.
And it was all 3 teams that we picked.
Yep, it was well done.
Yeah, JB, I did want to ask, was that on purpose, or did you not pay attention to our picks and you were just writing the 3 teams that you
told you guys. I called in like 2 weeks ago telling you, hey, here's what I'm doing, and I mentioned all 4 of those teams. Like, I had it planned, and then you guys picked 3 out of the 4 that I was writing about.
We don't listen. We're the worst.
And, well, I mean, even then, like, it was kind of obvious. I picked 3 of the top seeds, like 3 division winners, and then Pittsburgh because we all know Washington isn't going to win it. So
that's
there was no reason to write anything up on them.
It's on you guys for picking chalk. It's not on me.
Who's your pick, JB? Before we let you go.
I'm still.
I just wanted on. I know who your pick is. But
my head is telling me Boston, but I really, really don't want to see that happen. So I think I'm going to officially pick Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, 10-1 odds. Winnipeg to win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, hey. So speaking of that, is everybody getting in on this doling out drinks thing, or is it just people in studio?
Oh, we hadn't really talked about that. I don't really know. I mean, we don't have a way to know if you pay up on your shot. We have no way to tell. So
it's true. I guess that's fair. But I mean, there's Facebook Live.
But listen, we've got your pick down. Winnipeg 10-1 odds.
I was gonna say we've got the Jets.
So if we decide to do that and open that up to the fans, you're locked in at Winnipeg 10-1.
All right, fair enough.
Well, and as the official hockey blogger of CBS, I feel like that's the least we can do is let you make your pick and get in on the bets. So fair enough. You're locked in.
JB, thanks for calling, bud.
Hey, have a good night, boys.
All right,
thanks, man.
All right, so just to recap our picks, Joe went with Vegas, 6-1 odds. So if Joe wins, if Vegas wins, Joe gets to hand out 6 shots. I went with Tampa Bay, 5-1 odds, and Scott went with Pittsburgh for the three-peat, 8-1 odds.
I'm feeling good. They scored 7 goals last night.
Yeah.
I don't care.
It's still a three-peat, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk some NBA playoffs before we close out here. So first off, before we get into the playoffs, Russell Westbrook got his big stat last night.
2 seasons in a row, averaging a triple-double.
First player in NBA history to average a triple-double in multiple seasons. No player has ever done that before. And we were talking about this off air and in our group chat. Joe mentioned how there's just been no fanfare around this. Nobody was talking about it leading up to it. Why is that the case? Why was this not mind-boggling that somebody was close to averaging a triple-double for 2 years for the first time in NBA history?
I think it's a little bit of, well, we mentioned it too, that there's the Heisman effect where, these Heisman winners, when they come back, a lot of them end up graduating, but if they happen to win it and they're back at school the following year, no matter what, they don't win it the next year.
You don't live up to your own hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to reproduce what you did, and even if you surpass it, somebody else is going to be seen as having done better because it's just, oh, that person won it last year, and unless you just astronomically blow away, like even if you just do better than, people are going to be like, oh, well, you set the standard, and it wasn't even that much better than your standard, so see you later.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it comes down to. It's got to be the fact that you're just not living up to your own hype, and it's impossible to live up to your own hype.
Right. Well, and I mean, with Russell Westbrook, after seeing him average a triple-double, then you come into this season and you're expecting, all right, I mean, he's going to get a triple-double a night, right? I mean, that's what he did last year. So when he does it, I mean, you're kind of
just not a big deal.
Yeah,
it's just like,
you're
yeah,
expecting
okay.
it. Like, oh yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he get a triple-double? That's what he did last year.
It's just Russ being Russ.
Yeah, so I mean, it becomes the norm. I mean, it's kind of like it's like any like long-standing excellence. I mean, just like with Jordan. I mean, Jordan could have been the MVP every year, right? LeBron should be the MVP every year, right? But when you come in and expect it, and then somebody else does something like, oh look, they've never done that before, and hey, that's special. But LeBron is having like his best season ever, and he probably won't win MVP. Because James Harden hasn't won an MVP.
But see, that's what you bring up the MVP. I think the MVP is so weird because it should absolutely go to the way they should gauge an MVP is take a guy off a team. How would that team do?
Right.
And LeBron is the MVP every single season.
Every single year since he's come into the league.
Yes. He showed that when he left Cleveland and he went to the
and
toilet.
They completely fell apart.
And then all of a sudden he came back and they were like, oh, yeah.
But yet
they're
he doesn't
the team
win
to
it
beat.
every year, and that's the same thing Westbrook's looking at. It's like, oh well, he should do that. So I mean, do something else that's impressive.
Show me so. What else you got,
Yeah.
Westbrook? Craft Root Sports. Who's this?
Nobody cares about the NBA. Hockey playoffs are on.
Also, I mean, should we make our NBA picks?
I mean, I feel like we have to.
Haven't
Haven't
we already done that, though?
We've done it. We've definitely already
Warriors.
done it. But we want to get it on record here.
Yep,
So
Warriors.
Scott is going with the Warriors. Hang on, let's get the odds here.
Okay.
Because we need to figure this out.
Fair enough.
Because the odds for the NBA playoffs is the first time that they're weird odds. The Warriors are 5-4 odds.
The fuck?
Yeah. So you need to bet 4 shots in order to win 5 shots to hand out. How many shots are you willing to bet on the Warriors?
4.
So you're going to go straight
Yeah.
odds. Okay. All right.
I mean,
That means if the Warriors don't win, it's 4 shots you owe us.
Okay.
In a show.
That's
Are you going to be
fine.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
I ain't worried about them losing. I mean, what are we talking about hypotheticals? Okay, cool.
All
Sure.
right. All right. Joe, I think I know your pick, but let's get it on record here. Who is your pick to win the NBA Finals?
Houston.
Houston Rockets, they are 9-5 odds to win meaning he has to bet 5 shots in order to win 9.
Okay.
So what is your bet, Joe? How you're betting all 5?
Yes.
All right, cool. So when the Warriors lose, he's taking 5 shots on the show. All right, go ahead. Or when the Rockets lose, rather, he's taking 5 shots. Okay. And who are you taking shots for?
I am going to play a safe bet here. A bet that I will likely lose. I will admit this right now. I'm probably going to lose this, and these
Cavs.
fans are going to be pissed. But they are 7-1 odds. Cleveland Cavs to win the championship, and here's why.
You're going to take it because you only have to lose 1 shot?
Yep, that's part of it.
Motherfucker.
No. Here's I wasn't going to until the meme was circulated today in the group that showed.
The Tristan Thompson thing?
Tristan Thompson cheats on his baby mama. Alabama wins the national title,
And LeBron wins the title.
Well,
But I didn't understand. The only part of that was like, wait, what? I didn't know that Tristan Thompson had another baby
I
mama.
know, that's what I was like.
like,
Wait,
huh?
this happened before.
That's news
But
to
he
me.
cheated on his other baby mama with Khloe Kardashian.
So
which,
Chloe really should have seen this coming,
I mean,
which kind of seals our motherfucker of the week.
does it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the guy who didn't do, who did something.
Why
that
are you
was
getting
good.
into it? We're not getting into that yet.
I'm just saying.
Let's talk NBA playoffs for just another minute here because
Okay.
I want to know. You have been from the start, Cavs Warriors in 6.
Mm-hmm.
Joe has backed the Rockets, and he is our NBA expert. He has actually watched NBA games this year.
True. True.
Joe, let me ask you, are there any other storylines that we should be watching during the playoffs besides waiting for Warriors Cavs in the finals?
Well, one of the biggest matchups, yes, that is happening is going to be the 5-4 in the East with Philly and Miami. Both young teams, both going at it. But there is a lot of speculation going on in the West. Zach Lowe had his podcast come out yesterday morning, and let's just take a little listen, shall we?
Much this year in the West. Because would you rather have Golden State in 2, or would you rather have Houston?
I'll tell you this. I don't want to.
It's good audio quality.
The fear. I was talking with several coaches and execs from teams in the West morass from 3 to 8, 9. The fear factor for the Warriors without Curry does not exist. I mean, there are people who will say, I'd rather play the Warriors right now in the first round than the Thunder or the Jazz.
Wow.
Maybe right now, in this state in which they are 7-10 in their last 17 games, and Curry's hurt, and they just lost by 1,000 points last night. I mean, these are G chats and texts that are happening last night during the Jazz complete destruction of a team that clearly doesn't care very much.
So that was Zach Lowe saying that because of all the Warriors injuries with Steph going to miss the first round and Kevin Durant ailing and all of them playing so many games, a lot of all the executives in the NBA think the Warriors probably will not make it out of the first round.
Okay, cool.
Out of the first round?
Okay, cool.
I mean,
And I want to tell you why that's bullshit, because they mentioned it. These guys don't care. They know they've wrapped things up. They don't need to. It's the same thing with LeBron that we always talk about. He doesn't need the 1 seed. He doesn't need to play hard. He knows all that matters is getting to the playoffs. Then you flip the switch and you go. I don't care what Rob Lowe or Zach Lowe or any other Lowe has to say about what's going to happen in the first round. You know what? If the Warriors go out in the first round, I'll take 10 shots on the show.
Oh, all right. Hang on.
Mike's writing that down because 10 shots, 1 show. All right.
All right.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's how confident I am that won't happen.
I think you're onto something there, because there is something to be said about these guys know how good they are.
And the execs, of course, are going to say that everybody wants to see the Warriors lose, so they'll find any little thing that they can to say, "Oh, they're vulnerable." I want to play the Warriors.
How much of that
damn GM that you'd get on record saying, "Yeah, I want my team to face the Warriors in the first round."
How much of that do you think too is them building up hype for a series that normally we'd look at and go, man, this is boring? Because who do the Warriors have in the first round?
They're playing the Spurs, but who cares?
Without Kawhi Leonard.
Even with Kawhi Leonard, don't care. But they're without Kawhi Leonard.
I mean, it's gonna be fun. It's fun if Kawhi Leonard's there, because you're like,
yeah.
This could
but if
go
Kawhi
6.
Leonard had been there, they would have never been matched up. Like, the reason the Spurs are the 8th seed is because Kawhi Leonard didn't play all season. Even if he had showed up, he wasn't going to be necessarily 100%. Even if Kawhi walked through that door tomorrow, Warriors are still going to win this in 5. I'll give the Spurs a game. And
You're so generous.
And those 4 that the Warriors win, it won't even be close.
Scott chimed in and said, I like the NBA, but if you're watching the NBA playoffs over the NHL playoffs, you're doing it wrong.
That's true.
I mean, he makes a good point. Joe, I know that's
until the conference finals. I mean, then that's when you're like, hey, NBA playoffs are happening. Conference final matchups. All right, what do we got here? Before that,
I like how mad Scott is when he has to work early in the morning. He's just so surly.
There's nothing to do with it. It's conference final. It's Rob Lowe trying to talk shit. That's what I got a problem with.
Joe, how do you feel about the Warriors potentially losing in the first round? Do you think there's any truth to the Rob Lowe podcast that the Warriors lose in the first round?
It's Zach Lowe. He's the main ESPN.
Yeah, that's what we said. Rob Lowe.
Yeah. All right, but
number 2.
I do not think they are going to lose to the Spurs, but the idea that the playoff fatigue, how many extra games all these guys are playing, whether they are hungry or not.
And LeBron has played so
possible.
many games. LeBron has been nonstop since he came in the league, and it's eventually going to catch up with him in the Olympics and blah, blah, blah. We've heard this narrative.
Do you care to bet any shots on the Warriors making out of the first round?
Oh, first round, no.
Yeah, he knows.
Fair enough.
He knows. Rob Lowe's got his facts fucked up. He needs to re-examine who he's interviewing for this podcast.
But that audio quality, though, that was some good audio quality.
Audio quality is better than his hot take. Fucking Rob Lowe.
tweet at Rob Lowe for this show.
Oh, we should.
Just nonstop. Hey, Rob Lowe, what a terrible take. Just like everybody
picks are
does.
for shit, Rob Lowe.
When everybody tags the wrong person on Twitter, we're just going to tweet at
be
Rob
that,
Lowe. And just be like,
And
what?
real Steven Adams, also in the same tweets.
All right, so our picks for the NBA Finals. Scott's going with the Warriors with a side bet of 10 shots if the Warriors lose in the first round.
Oh, man, really nervous about that one.
So if they do lose in the first round, you will also have to take a Beast Ice.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my God! Yeah, because Joe and I made a little side bet off the show. If the Warriors beat the Rockets, basically, if the Warriors, whoever makes it to the finals, doesn't
Okay,
even
good.
have
I'm
to
glad
win.
you clarified that because I thought the bet was the Warriors versus the Rockets in the finals. Whoever wins. So I didn't know what would happen if one didn't make it. If one didn't make it,
then it's a
does
push.
Vegas take it off the board? What happens here?
No. I mean, let's say they both lost in the first round.
No, that would be a push.
That would
But
be a
if
push.
the Warriors lose in the first round and the Rockets,
and then they make it to the
Do you
finals.
lose?
Then yeah, I lose.
I like this.
Yeah. All right.
I want to see 10 shots and a Beast Ice through the beer bong.
On top of the show beers.
On top of the shot that
Cool.
on top of the four shots that you bet.
You can call and explain to my wife why I won't be home for 2 days.
Yep, fair enough. Because you also have 4 shots bet on the Warriors winning it all. So that's a total of 14 shots and a Beast Ice through a beer bong if the Warriors are out in the first round.
First of all,
that sounds amazing.
I'm fine. Second of all, we would have to spread those out. There's no way. I would die. You know how you couldn't swim across the Ohio River? I'd be dead if I took 14 shots within an hour and a half. Just throwing it out there.
And did a beer bong of a Beast Ice.
Yeah, not going to happen. But,
All right, let's get into Consume It or Can It. Consume It or Can It, brought to you by Tavour. Make sure you guys check them out. They supply most of the beers for the show here, especially this beer tonight, which is Stout at the Devil by Straight to Ale from Huntsville, Alabama. Joe, you got a little taste of this. We'll start with you, man. Are you going to consume or can Stout at the Devil?
Yeah.
Wow, that was
Can.
a ringing endorsement.
Canning it. All right. Why?
Can.
Hang on. We need you. I know you like to just drop in and be like, here's a word, and then you stop talking. Why are you canning this beer?
Too much coffee for me. I don't like coffee.
Okay.
Mike, what do you got?
Even with curdled Baileys floating in this beer,
Consume, right. All
it
right,
was
cool.
damn good. I didn't get a lot of caramel flavor, though.
Really?
It was all coffee for me.
Well, that's weird. But I had plenty of caramel flavor. Maybe that's what
Hang
you're
on.
missing.
In
You
fairness,
you don't taste the caramel, or you don't taste the caramel, but the caramel. Was the caramel there for you?
I fucking hate you so much.
Oh, okay, cool. So you could taste the caramel. Gotcha. Continue.
There was no caramel flavor in this. It was all coffee. But I think that has a lot to do with the fact that there was floating Bailey curdled pieces in my beer. I think that kind of masked some of the other flavors. But the coffee flavor was strong, and it was a super good beer. It was one that I could have more than one of and still feel all right, even after a car bomb. So it is definitely a beer I would consume.
100% consume. And unlike you, I do actually taste the caramel. In fact,
The caramel?
yeah, shut up. Ironically enough, I didn't taste it all that much at the beginning. I said you could kind of taste it. It was really faint. Actually, as time went on, I started to taste it a little bit more. And so that's a rare thing where something that
Is
very,
kind of strange.
that was very
secondary
subtle to
flavor
me.
to come through.
Yeah, it was real subtle off the bat, and the more we had as the show went on, the more I'm like, you know what, I taste it, and it shone through more. So regardless, even if it never came to that, it's a solid consume for me. I love this.
So as an oatmeal stout, though, there's no oatmeal flavor. Like there's nothing, right?
No, in fact, it's just straight. It just straight like tastes like a caramel.
It should
coffee.
be a coffee stout. Like
Yeah.
I feel like this is totally misleading because it should be a coffee stout, and it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. The packaging on this is all wrong.
completely just out there.
It's totally wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, double consume and Joe.
Yeah, and Joe.
In fairness, Joe doesn't like stouts and porters.
He doesn't like beer that's not
he's
IPA.
more of an IPA fan, so he
keeps us balanced. We like good beer. He likes IPAs.
We have a shitload of stouts and porters underneath that bar to get him on our side.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, eventually he's gonna be like, porters and stouts aren't bad.
I'm guessing it'll be around the time he realizes I should have never bet against the Warriors.
This has been Consume It or Can It, brought to you as always by Tavor. Joe, let's get an update on our Motherfucker of the Week poll. So just to remind you guys, the choices. I just voted now.
I'm gonna vote. Hold
All
on,
right.
but before you,
I don't think it's gonna matter. But anyways,
no, that's fine. Stall for a second, man. I need to vote.
Your choices this week are Tristan Thompson for cheating on Khloe Kardashian while she is about to pop out a baby, getting his dick rubbed at a hookah bar, and making out with two girls on camera that TMZ released, and being just a general dirtball. Or Isaac Haas from Purdue, who is the big, tall, white dude that had the weird arm brace that Purdue was trying to get approved by the NCAA. He apparently had intercourse with a woman at Purdue and infected her with chlamydia and herpes, knowing that he had chlamydia and herpes.
And the clap. Come on, man.
Now, okay, hang on. Herpes, I feel like almost all adults have herpes. Like, that's not even a big deal.
Joe, you got herpes?
No, you got herpes?
Nope, no herpes here.
Look up the stats. Look up the stats.
I know the stats, but I mean,
75% of people.
You got herpes?
I don't have genital herpes. I get cold sores. Does that count? That's technically herpes.
I don't think that's the herpes they're talking about, bro. But okay, good talk.
Never sharing anything ever again.
I know this show took a weird turn.
All I'm saying
I think that's going to be in the description. Mike reveals he's got herpes. Wife, maybe? Jesus.
But chlamydia is treatable, so he did.
So he's a stand-up guy. Because he gave her a treatable disease and one that maybe a lot of people have. So maybe
Right. He infected her with the clap. Then you can get whatever for it. I don't even know.
Joe, what's the clap amongst friends, right? Fuck it.
Anyways, I voted for him. I voted for the producer because that's fucking terrible.
Yeah,
he's a terrible human
being.
Horrible person.
And I just voted for him too. I mean, Tristan Thompson was definitely the runaway winner before old Herp Lip and Clap Dick showed up. But Jesus, man, especially if you know, it's one thing if you're like,
if you don't know and you're like,
no
idea.
My
God,
I've never
sorry.
been tested. I mean, this dude allegedly knew and was still out here dirty fucking. Fuck you.
The text messages, he's like, I should have worn a condom. I'm sorry. I should have. I thought I was clear. And even if I was, I should have still worn one. I'm sorry. It's like, dude, totally, that's my vote. All right. Joe, hit us with the results of this one.
And 75% of the audience agree that it is Mr. Isaac.
Yeah.
Isaac Haas, the dirty fucker.
Yeah. Which makes Tristan Thompson look like a winner. Like, hey, you cheated on my pregnant girlfriend just before she had the baby. And hey, I wasn't the motherfucker of the week. I mean, I guess that validates what I did this week, huh? No, Tristan, you are still a motherfucker. It's just that Haas is a bigger motherfucker
How
than
amazing
you.
would it be if Tristan Thompson tweeted out our poll and was like, see? I'm all right. Only 25% think I'm an asshole.
Not so bad.
Does anybody know, did he like tweet out any pictures of the baby
he's
or
stayed
anything?
Quiet. He's done nothing as far as
Because he was there. I did see that
I
article
mean,
that he was
been
there
quiet.
for the birth.
He hasn't done shit as far as I know.
Like that would be
Before, during, or
kinda
after.
strange. He should just be retweeting articles about Isaac Haas being sued. Just constant retweet.
I mean, I
of
know
that.
I'm bad, but look at this motherfucker right here. I bet he's a bigger motherfucker of the week. In fact, I have a poll, a scientific poll that shows he is indeed a bigger motherfucker.
Let's
than me
tag
this
both
week.
of them and see if Tristan Thompson retweets it.
Oh, he would.
This has been Craft Brewed Sports. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Yanni, thank you for the punishment. It was disgusting.
How many punishments do we got left? What are we down to?
I don't know.
I know I still got a punishment.
My pops still has to punish me. You still have to punish me. Lou the dog is supposed to come in and do
Some
his
point,
punishment. And Freaky is still out there.
MIA. Okay, so we got, what, 4? Is that
At least 4 that
Okay.
I know of. Oh, Drew's punishment is getting dialed
we're
in.
trying to nail down.
Yeah, if you guys want to see me take a soccer ball to the butt from an FC Cincinnati player, go tweet about it. And I mean,
Mike taking
whatever.
things to the butt because he's got herpes, and apparently everybody does. So, you know.
And he just said, "Punish me 3 times."
Ladies and gentlemen, this
Guys,
has
I
been
think
Craft
we had a
Brewed
recording error.
Sports.
This video is getting deleted.
He's going to edit that out in post.
the audio won't make it. I don't know what happened. Something terrible happened.
Yeah, we love you. We love you.
As always, you guys can find us, follow us on Twitter at Crafty Sports. You can follow me at Mike Burlon. Follow Scott at ScottyK_Jr. You can follow our producer, Joe, at JoeGoalie4. Hit up the drunk line whenever you want, 440-37-DRUNK. I know you guys are pissed that we're doing shorter shows, but
Too
hit
bad.
up the drunk
Tune in
line.
so
Hit up the
earlier.
drunk line, and maybe we'll do a mini-sode on your call. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for sharing the show. Cheers, everybody.
Fuck you, Reuben Foster.